Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo, and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Space Travel Simulation Testimonials. It's Thursday, June 16th, 2022, and this is a production of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be a host today. And of course, we are joined with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be telling us about the testimonials today. Hello, Mr. Keshe, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon to you as usual, wherever and whenever you send this new series of what I call testimonials. And when they come out of it, the test rooms, flights, test rooms, we call it questioning. And we just fortunately or unfortunately, our cameraman, as is a knowledge seeker, gets carried away, and some of these videos run into half an hour, 45 minutes, just with one person, because trying to dig into the more details, emotions, and the rest of it. And some are short. If you play every single one in a full time for one day, it'll take 3-4 hours, just one session, just listening without us talking, just the recordings. So what we try to do, we try to get extracts. And some of it we can do full. And today we go through a new way. Apparently our camera has us to show a tile instead of focusing on something. But you see a tile on the floor, but it's audio because people don't want to be on camera, but they want to share the experience. And hopefully in the near future, we find a nice picture to put on instead of the tile off the floor. But in general, it's the experience which counts, not the picture. And we'll see what will be. Of course, I dropped my headphone. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Yes,
Kesh.
okay. So we're going to listen to 3 audios, and then we're going to go to a couple of what we call recordings. And we try to do this for the 13th, because if you put the 15th on it, it becomes even longer. But we pitch one from the past, one from the present, and we'll see how we covered today. I think the first one is interesting. This comes from the test of the last week, where we had the first passengers who went to the moon in the dimension of the soul of the man. And we'll see how it comes. If we can hear this, the gentleman has gone home and come back, and he has recorded it. First of all, we need a German translator in the background. Can we have a German translator that can translate? We have one in Spanish recording. I don't know if you're going to listen to it today. Do we have somebody who can translate from German? Do you see any hands up?
You have a hand up
Iris is
with
here.
Iris.
Yeah. Hello, Iris. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yes, I can
You
hear.
translated last time for us, last translation,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, now you know what to do. You don't need much. Let's listen to the first one.
Okay.
And this is from the last Friday. Then we listen to one from last Wednesday, because we're trying to bring in across different things. It's not all about the space, it's about everything else, the emotion and the rest of it. Would you play the first one from last Friday, please? These are the people, the first team went in through on the 6th with what we call the flight. And he explains what he felt and what it is. Would you like to play the recording, please?
Meine Motivation bei der Allzweck-Plasma-Flugsimulation war eine Reise zu meinem Ursprung, auch zum Mond und die Christusenergie zu fühlen. Beim ersten Stuhl war ich innerlich unruhig. Das hatte so 2 bis 3 gefüllte Minuten angehalten. Danach fühlte ich mich ruhig. Beim zweiten Stuhl bekam ich innerlich Druck,
Can you
der
allow
nicht zu
to be
lange anhielt,
translated, please?
und fühlte mich danach ausgeglichener.
Okay, this is a man who made the experience in the unit last Friday. His wish was to travel to his origin, to the moon, and also connect deeply to the Christ energy. In the first chair, he was very upset. The feelings were up and down for 2 to 3 minutes. Yes. And then he went to
Beim
the
dritten
second.
Stuhl spürte ich eine Ausdehnung, und mir zeigten sich auch verschiedene Farben. In der ersten Einheit fühlte ich mich ruhig und ausgeglichen.
On the second chair, his emotions and feelings calmed down. And in the third chair, he experienced a great expansion of feelings and his light, his energy, and he saw different colors.
Bis Herr Kesche mich fragte, ob ich zum Mond fliegen möchte. Zuerst bekam ich einen Druck im Kopf und fast zur gleichen Zeit spürte ich, wie sich meine Füße auf den Boden aufsetzten.
Then he was asked by Mr. Kish if he wants to fly to the moon, if he want to fly to the moon, and he immediately or suddenly felt a strong pressure in his head and his feet were grounded.
Ich habe dann probiert, meine Füße in den Sand, in den sandigen Boden zu graben. Auch habe ich versucht, den Sand aufzuheben, aber er rieselte mir immer durch die Finger.
So he landed actually on the moon. He's speaking about sand under his feet. He felt the sand under the feet and tried to ground himself with the feet again, with his feet on the sand again and again.
Wie ich hochschaute, sah ich auch die Erde, wo ich sehr, sehr viele Objekte um die Erde wahrnahm. Und hinter mir war ein zigarrenförmiges, sehr großes Objekt, wo kleine Lichtkugeln zur Mondoberfläche flogen.
And as he looked above, he saw Earth and several or a lot of small objects flying around Earth. And behind him, there was even a much greater object, which had a light connection to the moon.
Ich konnte auch fliegen und sah auf der Mondoberfläche kleine Berge, die ausschauten wie Pyramiden und eine Struktur, die wie eine Welle aussah, wo die Lichtkugeln reinflogen.
Okay, he could fly on the moon. He could, so to say, hover, fly. And he saw several small mountains on the surface of the moon, which all looked like small pyramids, pyramidale Strukturen. And they absorbed and received light, rays of light.
Danach stieg ich in die zweite Einheit. Nach einer kurzen Zeit spürte ich, wie sich kreisförmig rechts neben mir sich eine Energie, eine rot-gelb-goldene Energiefeld aufbaute.
Okay, so all the experience he talked about was in the first seat, and now he's talking about the second seat. And there he experienced that on his left or right side, there was a spiritual energy which manifested itself, and it had the color red, yellow, and golden.
Die Gefühle, die ich dabei wahrnahm, waren sehr, sehr emotional. Herr Kesche hatte mich auch zwischen den Einheiten gestellt, wo ich eine sehr spürbare Ausdehnung wahrnahm.
There was a very strong expansion even between the seats where Mr. Cash put him, and very strong feelings, very emotional in a positive sense.
Dann ging es wieder zum dritten Stuhl. Leicht, wo ich mich noch ausgedehnt und leicht fühlte.
Then he went back or came to the third chair again. and the whole feeling, the structure of the feelings was lightful, bright, easy, smoothie.
Und immer noch das Gefühl hatte zu fliegen. Und beim zweiten Stuhl habe ich auch noch das Gefühl gehabt zu schweben und leicht und gelassen zu sein.
His whole feelings were relaxed. He felt a great relaxation and again very easy mood. And he the whole time long he had the feeling he could fly or levitate, hover.
Beim ersten Stuhl kam ich schon mehr zu mir selbst an, aber noch leicht und schwindelig und sehr, sehr glücklich. Ich bedanke mich bei Herr Cash für diese Möglichkeit und die wundervolle Erfahrung, die man damit machen kann.
Then back to the first chair, he was a little bit schwindelig, fuzzy in his mind or head, and it took time to ground himself in the unit again. But he is deeply grateful and want to say thank you to Mr. Cash for this wonderful, beautiful, magnificent experience in the unit there.
Thank you very much. We're going to play another audio. You will see this is from this week. Now we saw in that one, this gentleman told us he could touch the sand to hold it, and that was the experience he wanted or he strived to get. Can you play the second audio, please?
Oké, ik ben Francine en ik ben op 15/6/2022 voor de eerste keer in de enhancement unit geweest. En ik ging eigenlijk binnen zonder speciale wensen. En
Can we
men
have
ziel
a
beslissen.
Dutch? Can you stop that, please? Can we have a Dutch translator? Do we have any Dutch translators here? Do we have anyone who can translate Dutch Netherlands? If we don't have it, we have to go and leave it to the next time. Then we have some of the Netherlands translators in. But
Is Fried, are you able to do that?
I can try. Yeah.
you're a true-blooded Dutch. You try. Okay, that's nice, Ferry. Thank you very much. If you can help us. You want to start from the beginning, please?
Oké, ik ben Francine en ik ben op 15/6/2022 voor de eerste keer in de enhancement unit geweest.
The lady says she's Francine and she was for the first time on the 15th of June 22 in the enhancement unit.
En ik ging eigenlijk binnen zonder speciale wensen en ik liet mijn ziel beslissen.
And she went in without any special wishes, and she was, I didn't understand that one, but I think she was very happy with it.
Op de eerste stoel voelde ik veel energie stromen en vooral bovenop mijn hoofd. Stoel 2 voelde ik
On the first chair, she felt a lot of energy streaming into her head. And yes.
Minder op mijn hoofd, maar meer in mijn benen en armen. Op stoel 3 was ik eigenlijk nog te veel met gedachten bezig in mijn hoofd.
And then the second chair, she felt much more in her arms and legs. And she was still a little too concerned in chair 3.
Ja, dat is stilletjes aan weggegaan. In het eerste systeem was er ook weer heel veel energie in mijn hoofd en heel veel druk op mijn schouders.
And then she said again that she felt a lot of energy in her head, or a lot of pressure in her head in the first chair and in her shoulders, energy in her shoulders, or pressure in her shoulders.
Dat was alsof er iemand je naar beneden duwde. En na een tijdje ging dit wel over.
It was like someone pressed her down, but after a while it went over, so it subdued.
Ik voelde me daar eigenlijk ook wel lichter worden. Maar ik had niet het idee dat ik van de grond kwam. Dat toch niet. En op een gegeven moment vroeg meneer Cash...
So she felt quite she became somewhat lighter, but it didn't seem like she came off the ground. And in the beginning, Mr. Cash asked her something.
Of er iemand kapitein wou zijn en om de anderen mee op reis te nemen. Heeft u mij gekozen? Ik ben niet gevlogen, wat ook uiteindelijk niet mijn bedoeling was, maar ik wou gewoon dat bijdragen als dat kon helpen. Maar het was eigenlijk niet echt mijn intentie.
So she was asked if she would like to be the captain of the probably 4 people, I don't know. And but it was in fact not her intention, so she was a little bit uncomfortable with that.
In het tweede systeem voelde ik iets minder. Dus die reacties in mijn lichaam en in mijn hoofd, wat ik in het eerste systeem had, dat was duidelijk meer.
In the second system, I don't understand now. She transferred to the second system, obviously, in the room. She felt less pressure, less uncomfortable. And yeah, she noticed that.
En na een tijdje ben ik toen teruggegaan naar stoel 3, 2 en 1. En daar was minder van lichamelijk gevoel, maar eigenlijk meer een gevoel van tevredenheid en van dankbaarheid. En ja, het geluk dat ik had mogen deelnemen. Eigenlijk.
So she went then out of the main system and went to chair 3, 2, and 1. And then she became very happy and very thankful that she was able to take part in this very special experience, in this that she could take part in that.
En na het verlaten uit de ruimte heb ik dus een gesprek gehad met meneer Keisje en verteld wat ik ervaren had. En daar heb ik ook verteld dus dat ik sinds 7 jaar eigenlijk last had van, ja, wij noemen dat zona, dat is herpes, ja, herpes. En dat ik dat altijd heel gevoelig was als ik dat aanraak.
And when she was back, she had a talk with Mr. Keshe, and she told him that she has for 7 years she had trouble with herpes, and that was very sensitive when she touched it, but now it was like it was gone.
En toen vroeg hij mij mijn hoofd aan te raken en toen was dat wonderbaarlijk zo zacht om aan te voelen, net bovenop mijn hoofd, dus dat die zenuw die voelde ik nog goed.
And when he asked her to touch her head, she was very surprised that it felt very soft and very nice. She still felt the sinew very well, but it was a good feeling.
Maar het was eigenlijk ja, stukken beter. En toen heeft hij voorgesteld voor een tweede keer naar binnen te gaan. En dan op diezelfde stoel te gaan zitten waar ik heel veel energie in mijn hoofd heb gevoeld.
So Mr. Keshe proposed that she went again into the system and then to the chair where she had a lot of pressure on her head to go to there and feel what was going on now.
En toen heeft hij het systeem even anders gedraaid. Dus dan moest ik schuin gaan zitten. En toen heb ik daar even gezeten en toen begonnen zo de tranen uit mijn ogen te lopen. Dat vloeide van alleen. En ja, dat was zo een release, wat eigenlijk een loslaten. En ja, ik hoop dat het blijft duren, dat gevoel. En ik zal in elk geval verslag uitbrengen van hoe het verder gaat met mijn zoon. En ik denk dat het een geschenk is geweest. Ik voel het ook echt als een geschenk dat ik...
And Mr. Keshe angled the chair a little bit, and then suddenly she started to cry, and it was very relieving, but she couldn't hold back, and she's very thankful for what happened, and she will come back, as I understand, and she was very, very pleased that what happened to her.
Dit gekregen heb. Dank je.
So that she got so much help. She's so very pleased about that.
Thank you very much. This is the experience of the lady where she went through the process with the pressure, what she calls the pressure, with the expansion of what we call the soul in the third seat. And now we see that expansion through the field, plasma field. She had what we call shingles in English, or herpes, or what you call the neural system of the skin becomes very sensitive. It feels like a cracked skin. It's a very painful process when it moves. And she came out as I was talking with her. She was trying to touch her, her forehead to speak. And she said, something happened. I don't feel. I thought maybe something was wrong. She says, no, I could not touch, but I can touch now. And as I said, the teaching of today, we put her back in the system. The second time in the system, she was a river of tears. And when she came out, she says she has no shingles. She could touch all her head, the face, the foreheads and everything, and there was nothing there. So we have asked her to report to us, to come back for us to see the progress. This is what I say. Many people come with different wishes to see, but they end up with other things which they never thought there'll be a solution for. And it's very interesting how the soul knows the pain. And that's what the soul wanted to do, to get rid of this pain which she was carrying for 7 years. And it's very interesting that we start seeing a lot of people in these kind of conditions when they come for a flight test. Would you like to play the third one, please?
Oh, take a seat so you feel comfortable. I have tongue, or in English, so however you'd like to speak, you can speak in your native tongue, or in English, however you would like to do.
Oh, I think English is fine for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Florian, and I had the chance of getting the experience, of the, I say, space flight system, the flight system. We got the information about a little bit about it from Christian only yesterday.
Okay.
But I've heard from Mr. Cash and the whole technology already some years ago, and I did never know how to get in contact with it. Some things are coming up very sudden, and mostly if you don't expect anything.
Yeah, that was the best way.
Yeah, that's the best way, and yeah, I called yesterday, and now we're here. Yeah, so I would say that's enough of unexpected happenings, and yeah, when I entered there and took my place on the first chair, it just took seconds, and I saw a ring and the star in it that I know from meditation, and it really came just like a finger snip, and normally it takes some time to get in that deepness and inner silence, and that's really very special.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that for some time, and yeah, I was just looking what comes up then, and when I was writing down my wishes or what in the file before we entered, I was writing that I would like to get some hint about if I do things right actually in my business field, because I have to. I'm really working hard on repairing mistakes I did in the last 10 or 15 years. And yeah, I think I got a kind of an answer for that, to be very careful, but that I might be on the right way with whatever I do in the future. Yeah, that was not determined. Within the changing of the 3 chairs, for me, it was in the first one, the steepness and relaxation, and the second one, and there was not very much experience, and the third one brought some positive tension and impulsive feeling, and for me it seemed as I also hear some like heartbeat. Don't know whether it's real, but for me it was that way, and with that I felt like charged. Yeah, and going into the system then, I had also some physical experience with my, especially with my feet. I already told Mr. Keshe that I had some similar with Epstein-Barr virus. I don't know whether you know that. And this is a virus very more than half of mankind have it, okay. And normally it is deactivated, and it settles somewhere in the body, and sometimes causes pain or other problems, symptoms. And I did not get completely rid of them with some kind of therapy, but this feeling remembered me to that. Maybe it has an effect. We'll see.
May I ask which and where did you feel this? You said in your feet. Was this in one of a particular chair, or was it in general?
No, it was in the system.
In the system, you found this.
Mm-hmm. And right away from the beginning. Yeah, and also in the system, I had the were appearing pictures of what I'm actually doing. That's some project development. Because my deepest question is, what will I do in the future? Is that right? What will happen all over Europe or the world? We don't know it actually, and but I'm a pretty active person. Yeah, I like bringing things forward, and that's one of my, or that's my main Anliegen. I don't know the English word for that. And to bring that in a good balance with the family also. feeling in the system was that as if there is an active balancing taking place and affecting me, and I hope that's true.
So did you feel like this physically or emotionally?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I also had these pictures, but also the physical feeling of how can I say, how can I feel balancing physically? Okay, that's a question. But for me, it seemed like that. Yeah. I was getting warm and with the muscles were a little bit
Tingling?
Yeah, tingling. That's right. Yeah, and it was. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah.
Did you have a sense of time? Do you think you
Not
were
at all.
there a long time or no
I
time?
don't know at all. Time was completely.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, it was away.
Yeah.
Yeah, time was no matter there.
Did you sense being present just with yourself? Did you sense other souls, other beings? Did you sense anybody around you, or was it just yourself?
To be honest, just myself.
Okay.
Only at the end, I was in there with my wife and my sister-in-law, I think. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But at the end, the feeling was like getting reconnected to my wife.
That's wonderful. On a deeper level, on a beyond husband and wife, you're talking on a deeper connection.
We know each other maybe for decades, actually 30 years, but the feeling is
more.
How long it may be. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That really is. That's when you start to sense in souls on that long connection. That's a very incredible realization for yourself and maybe for the other soul present on a very deep. When you sense a soul, when a soul is, we've spoken about it within the foundation before as a twin soul. If you sense a soul is deeply connected with you, then possibly it could be this deep connection that you've established and found being present with your wife for these decades, and now you've realised it on a soul level, which was, and I think that's an incredibly beautiful thing for you to have found. Very beautiful.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. So, how when you said that you come to realise certain things about, let's go into you saying that there's some things you needed to correct. So, did you sense that in the future that maybe these corrections will just be present, or did you sense that you need to make a move in a direction to make this happen?
Actually, that's my daily search, research, and at this moment I don't know. Yeah, I cannot really answer that question. If I look into what I feel actually, know and feel, I don't know, but maybe what I feel is that what I do in the future might have to do with this here, maybe, because both of us, we are very since many years, nearly 30 years, very close to technologies that have to do with information and fields and bringing people and mankind forward. We are very interested in that, and yeah, maybe we will become, or still are, but follow up with bringing in what we can to improve the situation of as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you're aware of field interactions, and now you have gone into this flight simulation, which is contacting you on a very profound, deep level, on a cellular level, on a soul level, and as we know from Mr. Keshe's what he's spoken about many times, from a cell in our body to a cell which could be the sun, a planet, a galaxy, a universe, it's all the same process. And so you've connected on that level, and now you've made this energy flow. You've created a space gap for this energy to flow through.
Space gap, very interesting.
And this space gap, this opening up of this, whichever structure we would like to say, this atomic mass, we've opened up the structure by a little bit of heat. So when we open up a material, we give it some heat, and depending upon the material,
can we stop this, please? These are the things which goes in. These things are not edited. That we pick up pieces. So you hear raw as they come out, and we'll listen to a lot of it, and you have to understand that people want to go into detail, and sometimes we ask them questions to find out what they remembered. We go to the next one. I think this one will be interesting. You heard his name before, Dr. Christian Kurt. He's been part of the Keshe Foundation around Canada, and Keshe Foundation for years. And one of the things which you don't hear here, but you might see, is the wife of the gentleman we just listened to. The two, there is what I call, she felt what he felt, the connection which he spoke about. We didn't know they were leaving, and she turned around. It's amazing, because I felt what he was talking at the time he was talking at the same time. So for the first time, we had the connection of the two souls in the machine without talking to each other. And when we talk afterwards, both went through the same emotion in respect to each other, even though they've been with each other for 30 years. These are little things we look for, because interaction with space is for us important. How do we recognize each other? How do the two souls came to be in this position? Let's listen to Dr. Kern, and then we go forward to the next one. Dr. Kern is very long, his speeches as well. We try to cut in pieces, otherwise you'll be here for about 32 and 28 minutes, 30 minutes, I think. So we hear two pieces of it, and then we go ahead.
Mein Name ist Dr. Christian Kern. Ich bin Psychotherapeut, Psychologe und arbeite in Deutschland. Ich bin Deutscher. Und
I am from Germany and I am a psychologist, if I understood in the right way.
Und möchte gerne ein wenig berichten von meiner Erfahrung in diesen Feldern des Flight-Systems. Ich bin hier mit meinen beiden Schwestern und mit dem Schwager.
And he was in Linz. Can you hear me? Because I'm interrupted here from outside.
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
He is there with his two sisters and the husband of one of his sisters.
Und wir wollten diese Erfahrung gerne auch gemeinsam machen, auch wenn jeder sie auch persönlich macht.
And they wanted to make the experience personally.
Zunächst muss ich sagen, dass ich auf dem ersten Sessel vor allem einen gewissen Druck im Kopf gespürt habe und dann so über die Augenlider und merkte aber, dass im Körper etwas zu arbeiten beginnt.
On the first seat, he had a strong pressure on his head and also on his eyes.
Und auf dem zweiten Sessel nahm diese Situation noch zu, aber es begann dann ein intensiver Energiefluss von den unteren Extremitäten, also von den Füßen über die Beine hinaufzusteigen.
Sorry, maybe Alfred could overtake the translation because I'm interrupted here from outside. There are phone calls coming in, I don't know from whom. And I then hardly can hear the sound at the moment, sorry. Okay. Good. On the second seat, the energy flow was even stronger and again on his shoulders, on his head.
Und im dritten Sessel war es einfach nur ruhig. Ich bin natürlich noch ein bisschen unter dem Gesamteinfluss, weil ich gerade vorhin rausgekommen bin aus dieser Erfahrung. Von daher ist natürlich nicht alles sehr geordnet, aber trotzdem versuche ich ein bisschen das zusammenzufassen.
He is very, so to say, flashed from the whole experience, also from the third seat. The energies in each seat got stronger and vibrated higher, and he is still astonished by the experience, and it's hard to speak.
Ich bin dann in die Flight Unit gegangen und im Vorfeld hatte ich schon verschiedene Wünsche, die ich sozusagen realisieren wollte. Aber vom Sessel 1 ab, einschließlich der Flight Unit.
In the unit itself, he had clear wishes and desires, what should happen. And yes, in all seats. He did not say what exactly he wished, but he had a clear visions or wishes in his heart and mind.
War in mir eher die Haltung von, mich schenken und die Wünsche, die ich vorher hatte, auch dieser innere Prozess, der in mir begonnen hatte im Vorfeld bereits, war auf einmal vorbei.
Okay, and suddenly all the desires and wishes vanished and disappeared. There was no wish or desire left.
Interessant war in dieser Flugunit, dass ich dann, als Herr Kesch mich fragte, ob ich zum Mond fliegen möchte, ich ja sagte. Aber dann merkte ich möchte eigentlich zur Venus. Und ich bin bei der Venus angekommen, und zwar sofort in dem Moment, als ich an Venus gedacht habe, und habe so die Oberfläche wahrgenommen, die ich als lavaartig beschreiben würde. Das hat sich aber immer wieder geändert, weil das war auch so wie flüssiges Gold. Und ohne dass ich jetzt sagen könnte, das war Gold, aber nur so von der Textur her.
And Mr. Cash then asked if he wants to fly to the moon, but he inside felt, no, I want to go to the Venus. And within a second, it was just a thought, or even beyond time and space, he was there and saw the surface, and it was kind of like volcano lava there, but the surface changed. And it was also gold, floating, or like golden rivers flowing there.
Und Herr Kesch hat mir dann ein leeres Glas in die Hand gegeben. Und darüber war ich recht dankbar, weil ich dachte mir, ich möchte gerne etwas von der Venus mitnehmen, und dieses Flüssige hätte ich in das Glas mitnehmen können. Es war energetisch, dass sich das aufgefüllt hat, ohne dass man jetzt materiell etwas sehen konnte. Und gleich zu Beginn war so eine Zwiesprache zwischen mir und Venus, wo deutlich war, das ist nicht nur einfach ein Planet, sondern das ist ein Wesen. Kurz darauf hatte ich den Eindruck, als ob ich gerufen werde.
Oh, that's beautiful what he's saying. He then got an empty glass from Mr. Cash and was told to bring some substances, some material from the Venus within that glass, or he wanted to do that. But especially from that liquid floating gold. And then he felt energy came into the glass, but only energetically, not materialized yet. And second experience was very intensive. He connected to Venus, to the essence of Venus, or to the being of Venus, and surely felt, no, it's not only a planet, it's a being, a cosmic, alive being.
Und flog in dem Moment zu Saturn. Und da flog ich so durch wie Nebelschwaden, und es war ganz eigene Erfahrung, und ich muss sagen, es war so ein Zwischending zu sehen, aber vor allem zu spüren.
And then it's hardly to find words for him to describe what he felt. He was on Saturn then, and there was a lot of nebel, mists. I think it's mists in English, and he hardly can describe with human language or his words what he saw and felt, but it was very intense. Another
Dann
dimension.
gleichzeitig war meine Schwester dabei und hat denselben Prozess mitgemacht, auf der anderen Seite mit den Stühlen und dann auch in der Flugunit. Und als wir beide in der Flugunit waren, kam meine Schwester und ihr Mann noch dazu und haben sich in die verschiedenen Sessel gesetzt. Und jedes Mal war spürbar, dass die Energie sich verändert hat. Und ich hatte auch den Eindruck, dass die familiären Dinge, jetzt würde ich mal sagen familiären Belastungen, dass die da auch zu spüren waren.
And his sister and her husband were also in the unit with him, and they all felt very strong, uplifting, and extremely changing energies. And he felt for himself that the burden of the whole familiar structure was uplifted, and there was a great release for the whole family structure.
Aber mit in einen Prozess hineingenommen worden sind. Und das war vor allem dann spürbar, als meine Schwester und ich aus den beiden Flugunits rauskamen und uns in die Mitte zwischen den Units gestellt haben, wo ich auf einmal sehr, sehr tief berührt worden bin, weil ich den Eindruck hatte, unsere familiären Gewichte zu spüren und unter Umständen
And when they went outside the units, I don't know, it's probably like a circle, how the units are put there, right? And they stood in the middle of the units. And again, he felt strong familiar burdens, but he stood there with his sister, and the burdens were again uplifted. It was a great release, again, also outside the units.
Indem ich sie gespürt habe, dass das Feld sie auch langsam aufgelöst hat. Also das war einfach, dass etwas ins Bewusstsein kommt, das im Grunde eine komplexe Struktur darstellt und sich nicht so einfach erklären lässt. Als Familientherapeut und systemischer Aufsteller kenne ich gut die Prozesse von Familien, und es hatte aber nochmals eine andere Dimension.
Mm-hmm. So when he stood there with his sister, several very complex unconscious structures became conscious, and he is known or is familiar with the work as a family therapist and working with unconscious structures, but that was a totally another level and a totally other dimension, a much more expanded dimension, and there was release in these structures then.
Also meine Schwester und ich wechselten dann die beiden Flugunits, und Herr Kesch lud uns ein, gemeinsam zu fliegen, und dabei war ich der Pilot. Und bevor wir abgeflogen sind, war so auf Seelenebene nochmals so diese Kommunikation zwischen uns, dass jeder mit drinnen ist und auch, dass wir einen gemeinsamen Fokus haben.
Mr. Cash then invited again to enter the unit or the units and to fly together, he and his sister. And he asked him to be the pilot. And he also asked that they should focus, or that he and his sister should focus on one aim, one goal.
Wir sind dann auch tatsächlich auf den Mond geflogen und da kam auf einmal eine spielerische Note hinzu, nämlich dass also die Kommunikation war auf Seelenebene die ganze Zeit, also es war nichts zu hören. Und ich sah auch meine Geschwister und den Schwager nicht, sondern es war wirklich ein Spüren, aber ein sehr genaues Spüren, wo jeder sich befindet. Und es war immer wieder so eine Interaktion zwischen uns, dass jemand einen Vorschlag gemacht hat, wo er hin möchte und auf die Rückseite vom Mond fliegen, sich die Oberfläche genau anschauen und diese tiefen Rillen zu sehen in der Mondoberfläche. Also es war einfach wie wenn man einen Ausflug macht und einfach begeistert ist von der Umgebung und vieles halt da wahrnehmen möchte.
And then indeed, or actually they flew to the moon. And it was much more like a game or like children playing. They were all deeply connected within their feelings. They felt each other, he, his sister, and also the husband of the sister. And their thoughts on the moon, or their wishes, were thoughts. And immediately thoughts became reality.
Um es kurz zu machen, am Schluss sind wir dann als Abschluss des gesamten Prozesses alle vier in der Mitte zwischen diesen beiden Units gestanden und Herr Kesch lud uns dann nochmals ein, gemeinsam zu fliegen und dies war meine ältere Schwester, also sie ist die älteste von vieren, die Kapitänin. Und wir sind gemeinsam geflogen und ich war auf einmal sehr überrascht, weil ich sie sehr leicht und lebendig empfunden habe.
And at the end of the process, they were 4 persons were there. He, his sister, the husband of his sister, and his elder sister. And the elder sister was then asked for the last flight, so to say, to be the captain. And he was very surprised that she was so joyful and also, lightful and bright. He did not know her as so joyful, without sorrow.
Und ich weiß gar nicht, was das Wichtigere war, diese Flugerfahrung oder oder diese Entdeckung unserer familiären Dynamik auf einer sehr tiefen Seelenebene, die ich vorher so nicht kannte. Und so war das für mich eine sehr berührende Erfahrung, die durchaus anstrengend war, aber sehr lehrreich. Und ich habe eine große Dankbarkeit für diese Erfahrung.
And through the whole time there, he felt a deep, deep familiar dynamic on a very deep soul level. It was exhausting for all participants, but in the end, it was helpful and healthy for all of them. And he is grateful, for this experience.
Soweit.
I think we've seen all from Dr. Kirk. This, okay, let him finish and then we come back to that. I think it was
So, Dr. Kern, thank you so much for your experiences and what you've just spoken about. As you know, my German is very, very limited, and so some of the emotion. How do you feel in this moment, as somebody who's just been through this experience? Do you comprehend? Let me ask you one question. There's something that's just come to mind. When you were inside the unit, how long do you feel you were in there for?
In the first unit, I felt it was I think I had a realistic time of a realistic feeling of time.
Okay.
So it was a little bit also planning what I can do. Okay. Also, when there was always some surprise, as I told before. Oh, ich werde auf Deutsch sprechen, sodass es leichter ist zu übersetzen. Also die Frage war gewesen, wie mein Zeitempfinden in der Unit war. Und ich hatte den Eindruck, das war sehr realistisch. Ich konnte da auch durchaus planen, aber es gab immer wieder Überraschungen.
translation.
Yes. Okay. He was surprised, and he couldn't really. There was not really a feeling for time or space, but yes.
Thank you very much. Can we stop this because this goes on for a long time? This should stay in the archive. Thank you very much for translating. What is interesting, we do these tests. We travel people as individuals, as families, as brothers and sisters. And this is the first family collection of 4 we had. Then we have another family of 4 later on the following day. Again, very interesting situation. This gives us knowledge how to expect families to interact with each other. And what was interesting is we bring families, as they speak, in the center, and we let them to hold hand. And Dr. Kern is in the middle between the 2 sisters because in age is the same. And we observe, because if humanity goes the dimension of the soul, or humanity in the future decides to go with the dimension of the flight systems, we have to handle, we have to understand psychological condition. We have to understand how things take shape. And this is one of the things I do, continuously monitor and listen. And this comes for the people who come later on. It's not just there, they haven't come here for a test. It's come for us to learn, to perfect the system. And one thing amazing about this family for us was they managed to drain all our systems, 4 of them. Everything came to stop. The taking from the system was so heavy that all our systems reached saturation and stopped. And we analyzed why, because we have to analyze, we are there, the fields flow, but everything else to do with the operation, we cannot see. And what we realized was interesting, that the psychological condition, we know Dr. Kern, as a psychologist, knows is those who take everything, and whatever you give is not enough. The love given by the family to this member of family wasn't enough. Our system wasn't enough. It's what we say, to take. It's my right to take. In a way, we call it the sink. Never stops. And when they finished and we spoke, it was very clear that a member of the family needs continuous taking. And this was very interesting for me because I studied this in the past, and this is something we have to adjust our system to. This is why we run these trials. It's not just you coming and going. It's how much we can give from the system that satisfies the need. Not only pity me, attention seeking, but allows the system to continue. Because then these become what we call the black holes of the space. Everything is attracted to and absorbed, and the society cannot function in the space. And it was a very interesting, very, very interesting trial with this family, and we kept them deliberately to be together. And 100% before we started the session, I pulled one of our team out and said, we're going to have this. And we see that from the first and second chair, people come in and we can see nothing is good enough and I don't get enough and I want everything. And we try to avoid this kind of situation in deep space operation. We have to become selective in physical transportation and what we call emotion and soul. The process is very strong. We see it. And because of this family situation, we have made adjustments into our system, which means we upgraded in a way we know how. And we changed a few little things to stop these things happening. We need this. We have more what we call tapes of recordings. But what is interesting with Dr. Kern and others that will show in the coming days is awareness of consciousness, but existing in both dimensions. They are in a dimension of emotions, travel, or whatever, or soul. They receive a physical instruction and they follow it. Later on, they just call it a noise. When they come back out, sometimes they don't even remember what instructions was given. Because the soul has what we call cocoon to the physicality. But it hears. It's in a way, if you look at it, we dream. While we are dreaming, the information passes through different sections of the brain to be heard. Now is the reverse. The soul is outside. The noise has to get to the different parts of the physicality for it to react. And the decommissioning, especially every single one who's been through the process, when he gets to chair number one coming out, they tell you they come back to earth. They come back to physical dimension. And the perfect system has been set. It's amazing how the system works, takes you from the human dimension into the dimension of the soul. You go for your job, you come back, you go reverse, and you come back to human direction and dimensions. We try to play more of this. We've done about an hour and a half of this, which we can go through. We try to be selective. We have to ask Dean to cut these to 5 or 10 minutes maximum. 30 minutes, 40 minutes is too long if you're going to report most of the things which is happening. We try to make an appointment again for another part of this session, and the 15th. Some of them are beautiful experiences. Some of them see things. Some of them become part of things. And this go into archives. One day we open these into archives and anybody can watch. We try to classify which one's flown, which one's seen the family, which one is nothing happened when we add to it. But we still have one passenger from day one, which is the blind man. He's still coming to go on the flight to see if we can bring it to the eye of vision, to the soul, that he can see the dimension of physicality. This is important for us, that in a space we use what we call the vision of the soul, not the vision of physicality. And if that soul wants to see, everything has to be perfect with it. And this is an interesting part of our work for us in how we will change things. We add to things. If there are any questions, and then we bring this session to a close. Yes.
Okay, you're taking questions, Mr. Kesh. We have Thomas here. Up. Could you go ahead, Thomas? Well, not getting a response there, so perhaps if you can get your microphone unmuted, Thomas, please go ahead. Well, we have a question from YouTube, from Cat and Liege. Is that a light bed?
What?
Well, they greeted people, hello, light workers, and is that a light bed? I guess one form of healing beds, or what they call med beds, is using lights, different colored lights and so on for treatment.
This is the television station set. It's brought in out of the television studio, because now we put the systems inside the studio to be locked in. It's no. Shall we call it a day? Thank you very much for being here. We try to shorten these interviews to 5 or 10 minutes, that we can at least see 5 or 10 of them in the session. Some of these are very long, and we try to bring the whole thing. It's important for us. You got to realize in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we go through this process to get our systems adjusted, and then we go into transportation and transmutation and see how we can set our systems to that level. And we try to go to the next steps. We have to iron out all these things. You got to realize something very simple. Keshe Foundation is a very open structure. And in this structure, we do everything in public in a way. We don't, like NASA, you see an astronaut coming out and getting on the thing, maybe a few pieces in the middle, being chosen, whatever, and they go through a training and then they come out. With Keshe Foundation, we do everything as it is. It's been our habit because we're all involved in it. We don't know what you learn from here, that in your connection, in your knowledge, or in the line of your work, you can use this for another purpose, or you can add to it for another purpose. So we don't put things and then bring it out or something else. This is how it is. This is how knowledge has to be shared. It cannot be as rose. It's not edited what we want you to hear. You hear what people went through. And it's exciting time for a lot of us if we understand the process. Next week, I try to cover the, what do you call it, the 15th. We have some interesting things on the 15th with some people. But our interesting part will be when we see what I call the Italian team next week, when they come on Tuesday. How would they, what do you call, react? What do we hear from them? How many of them will experience anything or nothing? How many of them will go through this emotion of what we call presence of the physicality, but living in the direction of the soul? This is what I think we'll see a lot next week, which means they are together physically, but some of them will communicate in the dimension of the soul. And then we'll see how they convert that conversation into dimension of physicality. What would we hear from them when they come out? What do they communicate in the dimension of soul with each other, which we don't hear? It's all emotion. And then we see how things take shape. It's a structure of the society in deeper space. And in so many ways, how would we share our time and soul with each other in space? Would they be aware of a time factor till we take them out? And then we see what happens. This 21st testing, I said before, it's like if you live in America or some countries, you become mature at the age of 21. And they give you the key of the house when you're 18. And this time it's 21. We hope that the Italians mature. They become 21 and we'll see how they come, what they bring, or they bring maturity to us. And I hope a lot of us will learn a lot from Wednesday. By Wednesday, from the call experience of Tuesday. It's unknown territory, uncharted, what we call places for us. And I think we could have not chosen a worse culture than Italians who know pleasure, fun, drink, and the rest of it to do this first trial format. And I hope we learn from them. And we have a beautiful, vibrant Italian community. And I hope they teach us a lot. And if they come out sober, we will not allow more than one bottle of wine between all of them. At least we get some sober souls doing their job. Thank you very much for today. And
Mr. Kesh.
Yes.
One question before we end here from Raquel. Her question is, what is Mr. Kesh feeling with all these wonderful things?
I was telling this to my bodyguard today, because he's always present. He sees people coming and going. And that was a sense of achievement. Not the 40 years as a scientist and what has happened, for thousands of years being here to bring man to this point. No man. And it's good to see the man is mature. It's a lot of hard work by many, many people. And it's been years and years and centuries and decades of work to get man to this point. It's good. It feels good. I hope humanity learns from it. But again, as we said, we started with the wheel, and then as we started with the cars, and then the rocket, the electronics, the computers. This is the beginning of a new cycle. And this technology, as we see it today, is the same as when the man made the first wheel. Now you can imagine how much left for us to learn if this is the first stone wheel in the knowledge of the creation. And you see, we've got a long, long way to go, but it's nice to see the man learn to make the first ball of plasma. We call it gas, and then we see what will come from it and what we'll learn from it.
And maybe one other quick question, Mr. Kesh, from Boniface. I've been asked to ask, can those who have traveled remain in that state of soul operation afterwards or forthwith?
We can allow it, yes. If we allow it, yes. If we allow it, yes. I was talking to one of the knowledge seekers today. Many of you, once we go through the full system, will travel in those units into the depth of the universe. And many of you will never come back. We are not giving you an escape route. We are giving you a way to become part of the universal community. It's like you live in a village and you go to the city, you never go back to the village you came from because the life is different. These are not portals. These are the way the universe is created. Would we see in the long run creatures coming back through the system to us? Quite 100% possible. We don't disappear things. We allow the soul to take its place, but we have a connection for it because we can call upon it to come back. You cannot leave the physicality behind. You take the soul, but we learn a lot. A lot of us will learn. We become passengers of the universe. We have become passengers of the universe as of 2 weeks ago. We're just putting our toes in the water to see what we are. We expect when the system completes, any man can go anywhere. Not just on Earth, beyond. You travel the depths of the universe. There are some recordings that they tell you. They're amongst others and they feel it's so in the first thing. Family, because that's where they came from. As I said in the teaching today. This is exciting times, but in a way, we have to create a condition for it to be done for man to go. We've seen it, we call it a perfection. The woman with shingles. Would she ever get rid of it? Was that a wish to do it? We've seen other people, they come and go into the universe. We've seen profound changes in some people. They say we need time even to digest what we've been through. This is the travel in the dimension of the universe and not in the tool of the man with rocket cars and others. But the beauty of it is, now you have a choice. You can still get in the car, enjoy your child in the back seat, enjoy the wind, getting through the car, enjoy the beauty of the sunshine with the roof open or walking on the street. And now you have an option. This is your earthly life. You can park the car, you choose, and travel the depth of the universe and come back. Now, man is given the option to be able to travel in dimension of physicality or in dimension of the fields of the universe. And we had to open this option. And now you see it. They travel, as Dr. Kerr says, from Venus to another planet instantaneously and come back, and it still comes back to Earth, and it's still a brother. He chooses. And this is the option man never had before. You don't need to sleep to dream, and you have no control of the dream. You can design your dream, go through it, travel with it, manifest yourself in one place, and come back and go back to normality. You don't need to die to free the soul. And the reason is, if you see in all the cases, they tell you, Mr. K says, do this or do that. I speak to the physicality. They are dreaming, they are traveling this part of the universe, and they have to come back because Mr. K said something. Now you understand, for the first time, man is being given two options. They can hear my voice, but they're still traveling the universe. And it's real, and they're not under the blanket. Thank you very much for today. And we hope we add to this knowledge more and more, we learn more and more. Thank you, Rick, and thank you for the Keshe Foundation in the background providing all these facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And will there be another scheduled, the fourth space travel simulation testimonials? Will they be scheduled?
We have a lot of recordings. Anybody who wants to be recorded, we record, and then we choose some to put on. I've just noticed we have to speak to Dean to shorten these. You can't ask questions all the time from these people. They have to welcome the information or let them to go through it. And then we can share more and more. Maybe we need a 10 minutes one and a half an hour one with the same, but it doesn't matter with that 10 minutes because it becomes too much. And people carry on with a lot of things which we hear again and again. We're learning. It's the process of learning how we're going to do it. And I think it'll be an exciting time when we bring a passenger of universe into the structure. I see this as 100% possible in a coming time. And then if we take our cameras into the room, would our cameras be able to register? We are creating, once we go in a complete operation, another dimension universe. If you look at it, in reality, the room is your gas box, and the two units are the electrodes. And as I always say, when one electrode is in, which is nano-coated, the water in that box is done in the condition of outside. It's a condition which creates itself. It's another entity. And now in the box of this building, we are creating a condition. Would we reach the point where we absorbed, we created the condition of the carbon, and it absorbed in the CO2, carbon, and then mixed with the environment and became the CO2 with collected gases? It's the same situation. Would the interaction of the fields of the two units at a given point with another soul coming in creates a condition that another dimension of life from the universe will manifest itself in the room? What are the possibilities? 100%. No maybes. And always think, because it's a very simple understanding, now we have created the orange outside, which could be sitting in the universe. And now we created the cup. And we got units which are continuously releasing fields of the plasma of the universe. Would at a given point, the fields of the two units plus those who are citizens in the room will create a condition that brings forth the fields that another life in the universe become part of. There's no difference unless you put limitation on your understanding of the technology and knowledge of the creation. The two electrodes are the two units, and your plastic box making ganses, absorbing, creating fields and absorbing from outside carbon to become CO2 is the reality we are working with. Now you have to understand that vice versa are acceptable and workable too, which means the ganses inside can be replicated to attract outside, which means you as a human being in that room, you're the ganses. The way you put a gans outside to create field inside, now you are bound to be able to be attracted by another dimension. If we create the dimension of the Jupiter, anybody in that room will be able to go to Jupiter instantaneously. Now you create it in your field of the emotion. The game of science has changed, and it will change so much that none of us will recognize the way it is today. Give me 5 years, and then the teaching of the next 5 years will change and beyond. Now many of you will get into cars unless you like to have an antique thing to do. None of you will ever go to supermarkets, because why do you need, unless you want the luxury of life be? As I said one day, everything in the supermarket will be made of plastic for people to remember how people used to live. Because in essence, you don't need to kill the meat and the cheese and the lettuce and the rest on the shelves of the supermarket. Thank you very much for today. And we add to the knowledge as we all learn. And I wish the Italian team a beautiful party on Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gesh. Thank you. Okay, this has been the third KFSSI Space Travel Simulation Testimonials for Thursday, June 16th, 2022. Our next scheduled public teaching workshop will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice, coming up on Tuesday, June 21st. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. And people are welcome to attend that meeting with members of the Universal Council. All right, thanks everyone once again, and we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop. Bye for now.